Going to talk today about this involves the knowledge that has been handed down to us over generations by real outdoors people, hunters, mountain men, really understand the situation. I am talking about this because I think that it's very important, because I find that we're losing so much of our wonderful wildlife base here in Wyoming and elsewhere. Here in Wyoming and other states and even in other countries. And here recently, a fellow that I know sent me probably one of the most interesting books that I have ever read in my lifetime, to do with hunting. Not entirely about wolf hunting, but the book is entitled Alaska's Wolfman. And Alaska's Wolfman was a man by the name of Glaser. Now, he spent 50 some odd years in Alaska as a hunter and a trapper, living in the outdoors in the roughest and the coldest and the most miserable weather on earth. And he is finally at a point in time, got fairly old and had to give it up. This particular man, this old timer, Glaser, he would walk, detailed in this book that, about him. He would walk many days, 20 and 30 miles every day. And I'm talking about every day, one day after the other. And I don't know where. He's just a fairly slight guy, not a very big guy, fairly thin. But he would walk in tough situations, in extreme cold, carrying not much with him, carrying a rifle and ammunition, and would hunt wolves. At different times, he was basically a market meat hunter. Many years ago, he would hunt caribou and other animals, and make a living selling these animals. And in his lifetime, he developed a very in-depth understanding of animals and how their behavior and what they did and why they did what they did. The wolves. He was one of this country's, and definitely not one of the only wolf hunters. This is what he spent his time doing. Now, this man was so tough that sometimes he'd spend a night out in very cold, below zero weather, without any sleeping bag or any sleeping provisions at all. He would build a fire and, try to sit by a fire, lay by a fire all damn night long. And as time went by, he figured out that this is a bunch of nonsense, and he killed a couple of caribou, and he carefully skinned out these caribou to make sure there wasn't any hole in the hides. And he made himself a sleeping bag, a sleeping robe, out of 2 caribou hides. And he traveled the country then, carrying this sleeping robe and spending 40 some below zero nights out in the wilds of Alaska, all by himself, and eating what he killed, and one thing another. Today, people that are now on the doors, they go to the store and they buy this thing and they buy that thing and another. Some of these energy bars, protein bars, and one thing another. In his day and age, there wasn't any energy bars or protein bars. It was a good, caribou steak or whatever, a moose steak or whatever it might happen to be. Now he hunted a lot of grizzlies. He hunted many grizzlies. This guy was a real admirer of guns, mostly bolt action rifles. You know, he had other things. He had a few shotguns, but almost everything that came out new back many years ago, he bought it. He would buy a new Winchester rifle. He had quite an array of Winchester Model 70 rifles and all sorts of calibers, you know, and hunted with these rifles. He used a 220 Swift a lot, you know, to shoot wolves, and a 30-06. He killed a lot of animals, killed a lot of grizzlies with a 30-06. With that day and age, just anything that he could get his hands on for ammunition, you see, and probably shouldn't even been using some of the ammunition that he used over these different situations. No telling, there's just no telling how many animals that he killed, you know, with these rifles. He was a fairly good shot, you know, and not everything that he had a scope on it. The majority did, but not everything. And hunting in a lot of this very miserable weather, sometimes maybe it wouldn't be, you know, reasonable to have a scope, especially when it was so damn cold. See, and goodly share of the time, he wore bean rubber bottom pack, leather top packs, the bean main hunting shoe. He wore those with multiple pair of heavy wool socks. Times that he had mucklucks, you know, he had animal skin with the hair on type of parkas and one thing and another to keep himself warm and so on, and really did a lot of things that were probably pretty careless and one thing and another, near to taking his life, losing his life to a lot of situations. But, you know, he lived up into about his middle 80s and so forth. But he had a yearn, you know, to want to do these things. And kind of in the a little bit past or so, the middle age of his life, he finally got married. And, you know, he, you know, spent a lot of this time with Frank in the mountains, doing what he loved, and the freedoms and everything else. This is what I see that we're losing. We're losing these real characters, these real mountain men, people that are really hunters. We're losing our freedoms to people that just really don't understand, they don't care, they don't give a damn. We got people that are out here shooting at unreasonable distances at our wildlife with unacceptable firearms to do the job. They don't care. It's really sad where this hunting situation's going. And if this continues, it's going to go nowhere but disappear. At some point in time, it's going to disappear. And, you know, you better enjoy what you have. Well, you can, because someday it may not be around. And it's already happening in a lot of different places around the country, you know. My oldest son lives in Alaska. Been there 4 years. And he's done some wonderful hunting. And one thing or another, he's going on to his 5th year, you know. But he's got a lot of go, and he's still young enough, you know, that he is able to do what he's able to do. But you really got to get out there and hoof it afoot to get into some of this country to be able to hunt. And I think that there'll always be some opportunity there because it's so tough to get into some of this country and so isolated in one thing another. There'll be things will last there longer. But don't count on it because any of these things can just about happen overnight and disappear. So, you know, that's one of my old timer stories.